Major reveals are coming in Demon Slayer Season 3. For example, did you know that Muichiro had a twin brother named Yuichiro? Or that Tanjiro's blade is literally going to be on fire? Or that there's a major controversy around the Mitusri bath scene? For the love of God, just let us see Mitsuri's boob! So far, Demon Slayer has been adapted into a killer anime, which has managed to spread the reach of this great story even further. As I'm sure many of you already know, Season 3 of the anime is in the works, and it'll be coming out in the coming months. For all you Demon Slayer fans out there, I'm sure you're pretty excited about the upcoming release of Demon Slayer Season 3. We are too. And fortunately for those of you who are impatient to know what happens next, the manga is already finished, so we actually know what's going to be next in the story. So in anticipation of the upcoming season of the anime, here's what to expect in Demon Slayer Season 3. In Season 3, we follow Tanjiro to Swordsmith Village. He travels here to have his sword repaired by Hotaru Haganazuka because during the battle with Daki and Gyutaro, all of the Demon Slayers managed to survive, but Tanjiro's sword wasn't so lucky. Rest in peace, pieces. After reaching the village, Tanjiro encounters Mitsuri Kanroji and Genya Shinazugawa. After Tanjiro proudly declares he'd definitely defeat Muzan, Mitsuri tells him about this ancient weapon that can make him stronger. And while looking for it in the forest of Swordsmith Village, he encounters the Mist Hashira Muichiro Tokito. This also leads us into the first major expectation we have for the new season: meeting every upper rank for the first time. So far, in Season 1 and 2, we met with upper rank 6 Daki and upper rank 3 Akaza. I guess Koyoharu showed them in non-chronological order to show us the difference in power between them. So, in the new season, we're going to meet all of the upper ranks. After Daki and Gyutaro were decapitated, Muzan decided to summon every upper rank to show his displeasure with them. And I'm saying displeasure mildly. He gives them some harsh schooling and even says he doesn't know why they exist. Which, if you ask me, is a little harsh. But hey, we're dealing with a tyrant after all. One of the best parts in the meeting is that we get to see upper rank 1 Kokushibo. He's the brother of the legendary demon slayer Yoriichi, and he stayed upper rank 1 for 500 years, which says a lot about his strength. After Akaza punches Doma, because let's be honest, Doma is annoying, Kokushibo lectures Akaza about the hierarchy of the ranks, after cutting his hand of course, and how he shouldn't disrupt it, and if he really wants to replace Doma, he should do it in a proper fight. Doma interrupts and asserts that Akaza wouldn't be able to raise his rank given how powerful he is, despite becoming a demon much later than Akaza, a fact that likely contributed to Akaza's rage. Talk about a punch below the belt, huh? He continues on, describing how he allowed Akaza to use violence on him as a way to get along with him. Kokushibo ignores Doma and asks Akaza if he understood what he meant. Akaza confirms, declaring that he would definitely defeat him one day, receiving a word of good luck from Kokushibo as he leaves the fortress. Learning more about the legendary Yoriichi. In the village, we also meet Kotetsu, who's a kid in the village responsible for taking care of maintaining this strange-looking battle doll called Yoriichi Type 0. So look at this doll. This thing looks like a sleep paralysis demon. I get that it's supposed to be this intense battle doll, but I think 6 arms is kind of overkill. The reason for so many arms though is that the doll is intended to mimic the fighting skills of the legendary Yoriichi. 2 arms just aren't enough to replicate his abilities. Tanjiro notices Kotetsu having a squabble with the Mist Hashira over the key to activating Yoriichi Type 0, and is concerned about Muichiro damaging the doll, since he isn't too confident that he'd be able to repair it if it's broken. Muichiro doesn't want to take no for an answer though, and takes the key by force. However, it turns out that Kotetsu has a good reason to be worried, because during the training with the doll, one of its 6 arms is indeed broken, along with some of its armor. Kotetsu gets pretty upset and suffers from a major case of imposter syndrome. He gets overwhelmed by the idea of trying to fix the doll and runs away. Tanjiro, being the nice guy that he is, goes after him and they have a little heart-to-heart. Well actually, Tanjiro climbs up the tree he's crying on and flicks him to snap him back to reality. Poor Kotetsu unfortunately has some self-esteem issues and tells Tanjiro that he's too pathetic to fix the doll. Of course, Tanjiro isn't having any of that and gives Kotetsu some sage wisdom, saying that he had to make the effort and develop the skills so that even if he wasn't able to fix Yoriichi Shiroshiki, someone in the future would. Tanjiro then compares himself to Kotetsu, saying that even if he dies before he's able to accomplish his goals, someone else will eventually be able to do it thanks to his efforts. Tanjiro's pep talk is very effective, and he and Kotetsu go back to the doll. Along the way, they encounter Muichiro again, who says that training with the doll was helpful, but that his blade was broken in the process. So Muichiro concludes that he'd just help himself to one of the doll's blades. Seems pretty pretentious to me. He just tosses his blade aside and saunters on by. Yoriichi's original sword. Kotetsu at this point is probably pretty salty towards Muichiro, which I can definitely understand. So after fixing the doll, he orders Tanjiro to train with it and become even stronger than Muichiro, and even proposes some creative insults to use once he achieves this. Kotetsu goes pretty hard on Tanjiro, and he eventually manages to behead the doll. We see a sword hilt sticking out from where the doll's head used to be. We later find out that this sword is actually Yoriichi's original sword. Kotetsu is pretty insistent that Tanjiro take this blade, although over the 300 years of being hidden inside the doll, it's become pretty rusty. At this point, Nezuko makes his appearance, saying that he overheard their conversation and, like a Chad, decides that the sword is his and tries to take it. Tanjiro and Kotetsu don't really appreciate this very much. However, he manages to wrangle the sword from Tanjiro as Kozo Kanamori, another swordsmith, comes up behind him and tickles him to make him chill out. It turns out that Nezuko actually was just really stoked about Tanjiro wanting a blade from him and had been working hard to try and improve his forging skills so he can make a strong blade for Tanjiro. He wants the sword so he can fix it for him. What a nice guy. Well, except the part where he's stabbing people for breaking the swords he's making. Tanjiro and company battle the upper ranks. Later that night, an asleep Tanjiro Kamado is woken by Muichiro Tokito pinching his nose. The Mist Hashira questions Tanjiro if he knows Kozo Kanamori's whereabouts, as he was his new swordsmith. Tanjiro mentions that he was likely with Hotaru Nezuko and offers to try to find them. Muichiro asks why Tanjiro would willingly accompany him when he had other things to be doing, and Tanjiro replies that he believes that helping others would positively benefit him. Hearing Tanjiro's words, Muichiro suddenly feels a strong sense of familiarity and questions him on what he had just said. The Demon Slayer tries to reply, but is hit by an awakened Nezuko, breaking Muichiro's perception. Seeing Nezuko, Muichiro comments on her uniqueness and wondered where they'd seen it before, while Tanjiro worries about Chachamaru, Tamayo's feline assistant, appearing before them. However, while the trio keep thinking about their respective worries, Tanjiro and Muichiro sense a presence behind the doors. When they glance over, Tengu crawls into the room without radiating his presence as a demon. Tanjiro and Muichiro both realize Tengu is in upper rank and prepare to attack, with Muichiro immediately using Mist Breathing 4th form, shifting Flow Slash. Tengu swiftly dodges to the ceiling and cries, begging the Demon Slayers not to hurt him. However, Tanjiro tells himself not to hesitate and uses Hotaru's newly forged blade to attack Tengu with Hinokami Kagura, Sunflower Thrust. Tengu dodges again, but receives a blow from Nezuko in her awakened form. Tanjiro tells Nezuko not to transform, and meanwhile, Muichiro successfully beheads Tengu. However, Tanjiro remembers that beheading an upper rank doesn't necessarily result in its death, based on his prior fight with Daki and Gyutaro, and yells at Muichiro to keep his focus. Right as he does so, the severed head and body transform into new demons, one of which holds a leaf-shaped fan. Muichiro attacks the demon with the fan, while Tanjiro takes on the other. As Muichiro rushes to attack, the demon waves his fan at him and intensely blasts Muichiro out of the building. Tanjiro and Nezuko manage to hold onto the rubble and come face to face with the two demons. Karaku, the demon with the fan, asks his partner Tokito if he was having fun. Tokito responds negatively and uses his staff to emit bolts of lightning-like attacks, which slowly make Tanjiro lose consciousness. But before he does, he sees Genya Shinazugawa on the rooftop, pointing a gun at Tokito, and the battle continues. Nezuko uses her blood demon art to make Tanjiro's blade red. So during the battle between Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Tengu, Nezuko is caught under the collapsed building debris. She grasps onto Tanjiro's blade, making herself bleed, while Tanjiro begs her to let go and that he'd find another way to move the rubble. However, she refuses to stop holding the blade and uses her blood demon art to set it on fire. Tanjiro sees the blade burning from the heat and is shocked to see it change color from black to red as it gets enveloped in flames. Tanjiro calls it Blazing Blood Katana. Chill, dude. So after Tanjiro understands what Nezuko is planning, he holds his blade ready to make his attack. This triggers memories in Tokito, Karaku, and Urogi that come from a shared memory from Muzan. It reminds them of the time that the legendary Yoriichi nearly killed Muzan using a bright red sword. Tanjiro then quickly decapitates all three demons, and once 4 of the demons are subdued, thanks to Genya's help, Tanjiro senses a 5th body, and Genya claims it, saying that he wants to be the one to finish off the upper rank and become a Hashira. We learn Genya's backstory. While fighting Hantengu's remaining form, we're filled in on Genya's tragic backstory and learn that the reason he wants to become a Hashira is to apologize to his brother Sanemi, who he condemned for killing their mother after she turned into a demon, and without fully understanding that Sanemi had to do so in order to protect him. In his mind, becoming a Hashira would give him the right to apologize to his brother. We also learn that Genya has been eating demons to get stronger, which might work, but come on, there's absolutely no way demons taste good. In the meantime, things get even crazier when Hantengu absorbs the bodies of his other forms and becomes a whole new demon again, Zohakuten. We get to see Tokito in action and learn about his backstory. We got to see Muichiro demonstrate his awesome abilities while fighting the Yoriichi Type 0 and earlier when he fought the beheaded Hantengu. And throughout the battle with the upper ranks, we get to see him demonstrate his skills even further. While still trapped in a water prison pot thanks to Gyoko's blood demon art, Muichiro has a lot of time to think, and we learn more about his backstory as he's drowning. He remembers the important people in his life and we'll get a sneak peek. However, he's not down for the count, as Kotetsu comes in clutch and manages to give him air long enough that he can break out of the water prison and awaken his Demon Slayer mark, finally beheading Gyoko. We learn about Mitsuri's backstory and see her awaken her Demon Slayer mark. The next chapters focus more on Mitsuri, and we get to see her use her awesome love powers to mess up some demons. We also get some of Mitsuri's backstory and find out that her previous boyfriends are real jerks. She even recalls her fiancé calling her a bore. Honestly, Mitsuri, I think you really dodged a bullet there. Turns out that Mitsuri is a pretty tough cookie with a special muscle composition and insatiable appetite. I guess that might be a turnoff for some, but I think that's pretty hot. After Hantengu becomes Zohakuten, Mitsuri saves Tanjiro and goes off fighting him. He calls her a whore, and she takes it pretty harshly because he looks like a kid in this form. We see that she can survive his point-blank sound attack due to her dense muscles, and the battle continues as we see more of Mitsuri's backstory. Once more, the power of nostalgia allows her to activate her Demon Slayer mark. It goes on so long, in fact, that the sun begins to come up. Nezuko conquers the sun. While chasing the last remaining body part of Hantengu, Nezuko tries to help. However, the sun is beginning to come up. Tanjiro realizes this and tries to tell Nezuko to run into the shade, but his voice doesn't come out. This causes Nezuko to run towards him in worry. The light hits Nezuko and she begins to burn. Tanjiro tries in vain to shield her with his body, but seeing that Hantengu is about to take out the villagers, Nezuko sacrifices herself as she kicks Tanjiro towards the villagers to help. Hantengu is using illusions to disguise the location of his real body, but Tanjiro manages to find out that the demon's real head is in the location of the fake body's heart. He's able to defeat the demon, although the fact that his sister had to die to do it is a pretty major bummer. However, the villagers tell Tanjiro to stop moping and turn around, where he sees Nezuko standing in the sun, healed and uninjured. Somehow, Nezuko had managed to conquer the sun, and manages to speak out the word morning, looking very adorable as she does so in my opinion. After this, the Swordsmith village arc comes to a close, although at the end, we do see a little preview of Muzan's backstory and how he became a demon. Also, that he really wants to eat Nezuko because he's a jerk. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe.